I call the honourable member Eugenie Sage.
Yeah. Well, that was very interesting, Mr Chair. Again, the way in which debt issues in local authorities have been twisted to promote this bill, because there have been a small number of councils which may have overstretched themselves in relation to their debt levels. But that debt is driven, as it was in Kaipara, by the need to fund core infrastructure like wastewater treatment. And none of the councils involved are perceived to have a problem or any difficulty that would suggest that they're going to default on debt. So this has been magnified as a reason for this legislation, a piece of legislation which is fundamentally undemocratic because, as the Human Rights Commission noted, effective democracy demands respect between different spheres of government and recognises the defined roles that they play in serving their citizens. The bill is undemocratic because of the significant increase in the ministerial powers of intervention and tying it back to these fiscal benchmarks, and because of the way in which it changes the purpose of local government, and because of the reorganisation proposals. And I'd like to focus on the purpose of local government, because this national government knows the cost of everything and the value of nothing, and this bill is a tribute to that. It's causing significant constitutional change, which hasn't been widely debated, and by putting in these changes to the purpose of local government, removing the promotion of the four well-beings as the purpose of local government, changing it instead to public services and core infrastructure, it's going to substantially undermine the ability of councils to deliver on their community priorities. And how do they determine those priorities? Through the election every 3 years, and through consultation with their communities, and through the councillors representing those communities. So that was the thrust of a lot of the submissions to the Select Committee, calling for the purpose to be kept. And, Mr Speaker, given that this government has overseen the decline of jobs in manufacturing by at least 30,000, we will see this change in purpose potentially cutting across regional development and the efforts of local authorities to promote sustainable economies in their region. And there were a number of submissions from organisations like the Tourism Industry Association, which represents 1,500 players in the tourism industry, which showed that the change in the purpose potentially put at risk a lot of the council funding that assists with tourism promotion, with destination promotion, with eyesight management, and the services and facilities that councils provide to encourage our visitors to come and to return. Tourism, Mr Chair, is a $63 million a day industry. It employs 1 in 10 people in the New Zealand workforce. And it's those jobs that councils assist at the local level through promoting events like the Blossom Festival, like the Wild Food Festival in Hokitika, things that would not happen if they were not supported by councils that create vibrant local communities that encourage visitors to go there and people to return to those communities. So this change in wellbeing not only puts at risk a lot of the community facilities that council provide in the social service area, but it potentially undermines the ability of councils to promote regional economic development. And it's the sort of infrastructure like museums and art galleries which councils invest in, which are not clearly within the definition of core services that the bill proposes to implement. So, having presided over all of those loss of jobs in the manufacturing sector, this bill and this government is going to potentially increase the number of jobless by undermining the local basis for tourism. And as well, Mr Speaker, it's organisations like Venture Southland, which are involved in the promotion of economic and community development. Venture Southland is a joint initiative, as the Chair will well know, by Invercargill City, by Southland and Gore District Councils, and it's funded by those councils and the Southland Community Trust. It works to encourage regional tourism promotion, destination management, business enterprise development, But nothing in this bill and this new purpose provides a platform for the work of regional development organisations like Venture Southland. It doesn't allow local government to support... Mr Chair.
Eugenie Sage.
Thank you, Mr Chair. It doesn't allow councils to support that economic development which ensures the economic sustainability of their communities. And, Mr Chair, the change in the purpose also cuts fundamentally across councils' work with environmental management, because at the moment the purpose talks about the promotion of environmental wellbeing, and as an excellent submission from the Environmental Defence Society noted, that the bill and the change has got implications for how councils perform their responsibilities under the Resource Management Act. And that's because if the promotion of environmental wellbeing is not part of council's purpose, then it's not clear how councils, particularly regional councils, can fund and undertake activities that are part of their core function of environmental management. Because, of course, it's the financial decision-making processes through the annual plan, the long-term plan, that allocate funds that allow councils to engage in a lot of the non-regulatory activities in environmental management, whether that is promoting riparian planting, whether it's incentive and award schemes, whether it's encouraging stakeholders to engage in collaborative processes. So it's these processes which are non-regulatory, yet they are not within the definition of core services in the new purpose clause of the bill. So again, the government is cutting across the breadth of council's functions, and it's potentially undermining council's ability to implement the Resource Management Act. Because, Mr Speaker, that then has a perverse consequence. If councils cannot fund these non-regulatory initiatives, like riparian planting, like subsidies for efficient heating, then they're forced back just on the regulatory functions that the new purpose clause talks about. So this is completely out of step, this breadth of activities that the council engages with under the wellbeing purpose, with cutting that back is completely out of step with international best practice, because in the UK, since 2000, councils have had the ability to promote or improve economic, social or environmental wellbeing. Similarly, in New South Wales, there's a test of ecologically sustainable development. So the 2002 Principal Act is completely in keeping with what's happening internationally, and it's the government with this bill that is cutting across the promotion of community wellbeing and the fact that councils are much more responsive to their communities by looking at economic, social, environmental and cultural wellbeing. And we had a number of submissions about the diverse of social activities that councils engage with, things like early childhood education. Councils like Auckland provide their early childhood centres with premises or land to build those centres on at peppercorn rentals. When the wellbeing purpose goes, that sort of provision for those services, because it's not at the most cost-effective rates for business and residents, that is potentially vulnerable for challenge by corporates and others. So at the moment, councils through the wellbeing purpose are guided by their communities. The new purpose, its restrictive nature, its focus on cost effectiveness cuts right across that.
Chair. Jackie Dean.
Chair, this bill does not